questions, I'm sure both the speakers will be more than happy to answer. So I think we can have all the questions that you would have, both Mrs. Mukerjee as well as Dr. Jaria here. So if there's anybody who would like to kick off the questions, please. I think, yeah.
Can you elaborate on inflammation? As your first slide shows, inflammation is all the causes of the diseases. So can you elaborate that word inflammation, what it is?
Hi again, everyone. So thank you for asking. So inflammation is central to most lifestyle diseases, just like Dr. Charya also reiterated. You can test it through an HRCRP test. There are 3 genetic tests which we do to know whether a person will suffer from inflammation or not. One is IL-6, TNF-alpha, and CRP. These 3 genetic, through the saliva or blood, you can do this testing. So if these are mutated, we know this patient will have more stiffness, more pain, more osteoarthritis, etc. All we do with nutritionally is we switch off those genes. How do you switch it off? How do you switch it off? You just give anti-inflammatory food. So the gene is there, but the reading doesn't take place. So inflammatory cytokines are not released in the body, and when you actually check the blood levels of CRP, HSCRP, they fall down. So the patient has walked in with 10, he's probably got 1 or 2 at the end of the program. So you reduce inflammation, that reduces the progress of all lifestyle disease. So if he's got pain, stiffness, osteoarthritis, or even if it's hypertension for that matter, inflammation is central to that. You need to control it. So there are 2 ways to know it. One is a blood test, one is a gene test, and symptomatically. You also come to know symptomatically.
So we should do a C-reactive protein for every patient?
Yes, I would, at least we do it at our centers, so that you know where he stands in terms of inflammation. Because it is central. TNF-alpha, IL-6, and CRP. These are the gene tests. Yeah, so we do a saliva sample and we send it to the lab. So they do the gene test. So that does not change because the genetics, yeah, they're born with are standard. So if they're mutated, means you have to take more anti-inflammatory diet. And if they're not mutated, let us say you have a good gene, you do not have predisposition for inflammation, then you don't have to take a higher dose of anti-inflammatory foods. Like you don't have to avoid non-veg, you don't have to take ulci seeds, you don't have to take fish oils, right? But as a general rule, today's lifestyle is inflammatory in nature. Because of the heavy metal toxicity, the chemicals, the pesticides that enter your system, your body treats them like a foreign particle. So it's attacking autoimmune disease. What is autoimmune disease? It's just increase in all of this inflammation. So if you generally follow an anti-inflammatory diet, to a very large extent, you're able to control inflammation, which is central to aging, central to disease, central to obesity. Right? Right. Super, as always, lovely interacting with all of you. Thank you. Any more questions? I'll be more than happy.
Thank you, Mrs. Mukerjee. Thank you, Dr. Jaria. I don't see Dr. Jaria. Okay. I think despite the issues that we've had with the IT, which is probably something that we check on, I think it has been a kind of an engaging afternoon because what we have spoken about is what lifestyle is all about. And it's an often repeated term that I have mentioned even to some of the doctors in this audience earlier also during one of the sessions, because I think what used to be called as chronic about a decade and a half ago is now become lifestyle. It's probably a reflection of, if you want to call it that, our own progress, but honestly, if you ask me, I don't know whether it's actually progress. Because while we may have progressed technologically, the fact of the matter remains that illness has only increased. So I'm tempted to kind of, mention that thought again, that, lifestyle has probably become, a term which is so kind of complex because the style factor has increased, life has gone. That's probably the crux of the matter actually, that's where the entire problem lies. But I'm happy that today when we're talking about it, there is this attempt to look at a kind of an integrated, I said a holistic approach, because we as a brand have believed that while we know we are strong at what we do, we are kind of open-minded to look at a holistic kind of an approach as far as healthcare is concerned. And most of you present here have been with your patients and for almost more than 3 to 4 decades. We'll vouch for the fact that this transition of change that we are talking about is something that we have always gone along. And I thank you, each one of you, for being here present. I realize that it's been tactically a very difficult afternoon thanks to the IMA call that was given day before yesterday, a little late in the evening, and I must thank Dr. Akhil Contractor also, who made it a point to be here for this afternoon. Thank you, each one of you, and I now request Dr. Bala to kindly come forward and hand over the small token of appreciation that we have from the team HHS to both our speakers today. Mrs. Mukerjee. Thank you so much, Mrs. Mukerjee, for your time and for that lovely talk. And Dr. Jerry. Dr. Jerry, I realize it's been a little bit of a rush in the afternoon. You were engaged somewhere, I know. Thank you so much for talking here, and we appreciate having you here. Last but not the least, just to announce that we meet once again on the 18th, that's the Saturday after next, and I'm sure we'll be able to dish out another afternoon of what I promise will be a very engaging topic and an engaging specialty. Thank you very much all of you, and have a nice weekend.